Thank you, madam. I always cherish those sweet memories, madam. My association with you and also Professor Sunny.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes.
So now the topic given for me is jurimetrics. In a way, jurimetrics is very close to my heart. And I used to teach this subject for my LLM students and also LLB students for FDP programs and also for the coursework for the research scholars, etc. Mostly, this paper was useful for the PG students in a way for judicial process and also research methodology. So, coming to the subject jurimetrics, the topic is very vast because jurimetrics is nothing but application of science and technology in the field of law. It's very simple. If you want to know the subject in a simple style, it is application of science and technology in the field of law. But it is very vast. It will not stop with that, because now jurimetrics has assumed a lot of significance in the e-courts, in the light of e-governance, e-courts, in the background of artificial intelligence, machine learning, the drone technology, etc., etc. So I have worked on this subject and submitted 2 papers. One paper was published in 2009 in Indian Law Institute Journal. So if you want to go through the journal, it is available. The Journal of Indian Law Institute, New Delhi, 2009, from January to March. In that journal, my article has appeared, titled "From Jurisprudence to Jurimetrics." From jurisprudence to jurimetrics. Another paper which I wrote very recently was the PPT, which is before us, Legal Studies, a Movement from Rationalism to Empiricism. So before I take up these 2 PPTs for presentation and a critical analysis, see in what way jurimetrics is useful for law and social transformation, because you are undergoing a small certificate course on law and social transformation challenges. So in what way? Because law is an instrument of social change, social transformation. Similarly, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, and so many. See, social transformation takes place not simply by law alone. Social transformation takes place by so many ways, by way of agitation, by way of movements, by way of satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi ji led satyagraha movement. Dandi satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi ji led a movement, a struggle, independence struggle against the British. We got independence. So therefore, by agitation, by satyagraha, by peaceful movements, by bloodless revolutions, etc. But law is only one among them to bring about changes in the society. In what way law is useful for social transformation, for social progress, means law is made by the parliament, but that law will be applied by the court to the people, to the disputes pending before it. So at the time of application, first of all, the law must be available. There are so many laws passed by the parliament. All those laws are now applicable for social transformation. So reservation law, the prohibition of sexual harassment at workplace, women empowerment laws, so many other laws, domestic violence law, POCSO, so many laws are there. All these laws are made by the parliament for social progress, for amelioration of the society, for social transformation. But then the question is, who will apply the law? Law is always applied, interpreted by the court, by the judiciary. So at the time of interpretation, application, first of all, the question is whether the law is available. Whether the law is available at all. Yes, law is available. Then which law? Whether it is contract law, constitutional law, personal law, family law, which law? Law is applicable. Then it will apply the. So at the time of application of law, before the court, there is a dispute, then so many questions, interpretative tools, interpretative techniques are available for the court. What are the interpretative tools and techniques available? Those tools and techniques are very important. One such tool is Jurimetrics. Very simple. So there are so many tools. Jurimetrics is a recently emerged tool applicable by the court in the dispute before the court. So there are so many tools. See, it is applicable in judicial process. So what is judicial process? Judicial process is a reasonable process. It is a legal process. It is a humane process. It is not a mechanical process. Simply by applying a precedent, by applying a case law, the problem will not be solved. For example, in continental countries like French, Germany, there are no precedents. There is no common law. It is civil law system, civil law jurisdiction. But in the common law countries, precedents are available. So precedents are applicable, and the court will apply a precedent, established precedent, and it will help solve the problem. But when there is no precedent, neither the law nor precedent, what do the court will do? Court will apply so many other tools. Reason, judicial reasoning. What is this reasoning? Logic. It is based upon logic, syllogistic logic, Aristotelian syllogistic logic, analogy, dialectical reasoning. So like that, so many techniques are there. Technical tools are there for the court for rendering justice for the judicial process. So therefore, if you want to know the subject thoroughly, before I take up this the other article, first of all, you go through the jurisprudential aspects of the jurimetrics, jurisprudential aspects of jurimetrics. So I request the concerned person to show the slides one by one. So what are the other? So one by one slope. So before that, I want to make one thing clear. See, you are all law people, PG students, UG students, lawyers are there, teaching professionals are there, research scholars are there. So therefore, law is not an autonomous discipline. Very important. Law is never an autonomous discipline, an independent subject. Law is always based upon other social science subjects because law has no autonomy. Law is not a pure science like physics, chemistry, etc. So law is an interdisciplinary subject, multidisciplinary subject. So therefore, law for its existence has to depend upon other social science subjects. Because law has no independent existence. Law is not an autonomous discipline. So law cannot live alone without the support of other social science subjects. That is the meaning for the interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary subjects. So the other slides, madam, other slides, legal studies. So therefore, the the important thing is how law has come up. So in the beginning, if you go through the ancient Greek Roman period, law was the natural law. Law is given by natural law. Law is inherent. It is inherent in every human being. You see the era of classical Greece. So European thought, the human beings were rationally, critical. Constantly they were questioning. So highly intelligent people. So the idea of natural law is given by God. It is inherent in every, it is based upon reason, eternal reason, universal reason, pervasive throughout the globe. It is cosmopolitan law. It is based upon cosmopolitanism. So it is not given by any legislature nor given by the state. It is inherent in every human being. It is based upon reason. So therefore, this is what is called as rationalism. If you look up the one by next slide, if you look at the ancient Greek, Roman period, Plato, Socrates were rationalists. And this law, which is based upon reason, is based upon rationalism. The chief source of law is knowledge is reason, rationalism. Plato and Socrates were rationalists. Aristotle was both rationalist and empiricist. Next slide, madam. Next slide. So therefore, the ancient Greek law, though natural law is a Greek idea, it was developed by Stoics. It is based upon Stoics philosophy in the Roman period. So it is based upon philosophical idealism. It is an abstract idea. So law is abstract. It has no shape, and it is. If you want to study jurisprudence, is nothing but it is a speculative idea. Jurimetrics is nothing but application part, application of science, technology to the field of law. So the empirical approach towards law is jurimetrics. Do you follow me? So it is application part, but jurisprudence is not like that. Jurisprudence is a speculative idea. So if you look at the ancient Greek Roman period, law is natural law. It is God-made law. It is given. It is universal law. Throughout the cosmos, throughout the universe, it is one and the same, like that. So you divide the entire legal system into three periods: ancient Roman, Greek and Roman period, medieval period, and the modern period. Next slide, madam. So therefore, natural law was universal. It is one and the same throughout the universe. Next slide. Next slide. And it is, though natural law is a Greek idea, it was developed by the Stoics, Stoic philosophy, cosmopolitan philosophy. It is universal law. It is based upon divine reason, pervading throughout the cosmos, divine reason binding on everyone. Because it is eternal law. It cannot be changed. No reforms, nothing. And similarly, during the Roman philosophy, who are the Roman philosophers? Ulpian, Cicero, Gaius. And you will find on the Roman philosophers the influence of Stoic philosophy. So there were three laws called just civil law, just natural law, just gentium. The birth, international law took its birth from just gentium. And then next slide, man. So in the medieval period, it was a dark period. So medieval period means church was at the highest, Saint Augustine, Thomas Aquinas. So the ecclesiastical law, the papal law. So the law in the medieval period, the law was divided into four laws. It is based upon theology. Theology means the religion, divine law, eternal law, natural law was a higher law, natural law, so like that. So after Renaissance and Reformation, so much of intellectual explosion took place. So Renaissance means it is nothing but transition from medievalism to modernism. So modernism means it is empirical method. So empirical method was adopted by Renaissance philosophers like Gentilis and Hugo Grotius. Hugo Grotius, who is the father of modern international law. So this positive approach, empirical method, is derived. Is derived from Renaissance and Renaissance and Reformation, and the start of modern age and the period of scientific revolution. So Renaissance means scientific revolution. So next slide, madam. Renaissance and Reformation, from this period onwards, the Roman Church has collapsed, and the Church has no upper place. The rise of Protestantism against Catholicism, then emancipation of individual from emancipation of individual from feudalism, emancipation of jurisprudence from theology. See, at one point of time, the jurisprudence students will be knowing still, it was thought that jurisprudence was a pure science. Jurisprudence was, though because it is deeply mixed with religion, philosophy, theology, etc. Hans Kelsen wanted to separate law from religion, from theology, from philosophy, which he cannot do. He failed miserably in separating law, in purifying law from theology and philosophy, because you cannot separate law from philosophy and theology. See, for example, if you offer a cup of milk to a cat, what do the cat will do? Cat will drink the entire milk and goes away. But if you offer the same cup of milk to a swan, that will separate milk from water. Water is separated. So Hans Kelsen wanted to be a swan to separate law from philosophy, from ethics, from theology, etc., which he failed. So therefore, jurisprudence means it is mixed. You cannot separate law from social sciences. Law and society are together. Law and society are together. They are interdependent. They are together. Social science took its birth even before law. So therefore, with the Renaissance and Reformation, Roman Empire collapsed, the rise of Protestantism against Catholicism, you will find emancipation of jurisprudence from theology. Law was inextricably mixed with the theology, philosophy, etc. Now, law is separated from theology. Individually separated. There was emancipation of individual from feudalism. So it was metaphysical, rational, based upon natural. Next slide, madam. And see the rational. Rationalism means it is based upon reason, human reason. Human reason alone is the chief cause for knowledge. See, what are the sources of where do you get knowledge? That is my question. You can derive knowledge if you subscribe to rationalists, Greek, Roman philosophers. Rationalism is the chief source. Reason is the chief source of knowledge. But if you subscribe to empiricism, no. Observation. So therefore, logic is the chief reason for deriving knowledge according to rationalism. But that is not correct. So therefore, rationalism means it relies upon reason, logic, innate ideas. Knowledge can be derived by a priori method, unlike a posteriori method. So the theory is the basis of knowledge according to rationalism. So this is up to the medievalism. Then after Renaissance and Reformation, a positivist movement developed. So the rationalism means the reason is the chief source of knowledge, the idea. So you see the slides. Next slide, man. Next slide. The three anchor points. Reason is the prime source, superior source of knowledge. Sense, experience, observation, they have nothing to do with rationalism. They are empirical part. The fundamental truth about the world can be known by a priori rather than a posteriori. Next slide. So it was up to 19th century, it was metaphysical. Post-Renaissance period, up to the middle of 19th century was metaphysical. So The entire, according to the French philosopher, mathematician Auguste Comte, there are the entire period can be divided into three epochs. Number one, theological. Number two, metaphysical. Number three, positivism. So this is metaphysical, eternal reason, based upon eternal reason. Next slide, madam. And Auguste Comte, a French philosopher, mathematician, the founder of modern positivism. He is also called as the founder of the modern positivism and philosophical founder. Then next slide, madam. Yes, three stages in the evaluation of human thinking. I was discussing, explaining the phenomena of reference to supernatural causes. So that is theological. So there is God. We are afraid of God. God will do something. So we are governed by God, eternal truth, like that. Metaphysical means recourse to ultimate principles and ideas existing beneath the surface. That is called as metaphysical. The third movement is, this third stage is positivism. Positivism means, so these empirical tools, empirical method is derived from positive movement. Gentili and Hugo Grotius. So the empirical means it is observation by connection of facts, by by inductive method. See, in the beginning, inductive method was employed only in the physical sciences, in the life sciences, biological sciences. Now, slowly, when there was a lot of progress by application of inductive method, by inductive logic in science and other subjects, the inductive logic was also made applicable in the social science subjects also. So, replacing the deductive logic. So then now empiricism means it is testing theories. It relies upon practical experience. See, where all LLM students are doing a dissertation. So your dissertation will be either doctrinal or empirical, or partly doctrinal or partly empirical. So what is this empirical? Empirical means by practical experience, by observation. So don't think that only science students will be doing experiments in the lab. So for us, for law students, for lawyers, for law professors, the lab is the court, the library, the court. The court is the lab for us to test the laws, for experimenting the laws. So Gentili and Hugo Grotius are the supreme Renaissance philosophers. Francis Bacon, the father of empiricism. He is an English philosopher. Francis Bacon was the father of empiricism. The next slide, madam. So John Locke, George Berkeley, David Hume. So they say that all knowledge is based upon experience. They are always they tooth and nail. They oppose deductive logic because they say judicial process or law is a logical deduction from an authoritative premises of the court. You see, we are all lawyers, law people. Whether the law is an authoritative premises of the legal code. So law codification clearly codified only in the civil law system. In the common law countries, much law is not codified. It is based upon customs, precedent law. So therefore, law is not a deductive logic. So inductive method approach was in the beginning made applicable in the natural sciences, physical sciences, biology. Now slowly, next slide, madam. Now it is applicable in the social science subjects, including jurisprudence. Now there is a lot of research, empirical research proliferated everywhere, mostly in the United States of America. So inductive method invaded all sciences, including social sciences. Empirical means it is not a priori. It is a priori method means rationalism. Empirical means a posteriori. It is by observation, by experiment. So deductive approach means a priori method, deductive logic, a priori, prior to this observation. A posteriori means it is inductive, empirical. These are the two types of research. So deductive, same, deductive and inductive approaches. So inductive approach, empirical approach is nothing but jurimetrics. Very simple. Jurimetric means it is empirical approach towards law. Empirical approach towards law. There are so many empirical tools. DNA technology is applicable. It is empirical research. Forensic science is applicable. Empirical research. Now computer is applicable. Computer, without computer, a lawyer can nowadays a lawyer cannot, a technology lawyer, he cannot survive without a computer. In the computer, large bulks of data is available in the computer. What is the use of such data? Unless it is retrieved, unless it is collected, interpreted, retrieved properly. So therefore, next slide. So therefore, by observation, by experiment, by predictions. So inductive reasoning means observation, generalization. Deductive means it is opposed to experiment. Okay. So it is theory, prediction. Then next slide. So empiricism, the difference between empiricism and rationalism. Now we have come out from rationalism to empiricism by way of movement. In the beginning, if you look at the ancient Greek Roman period up to the medieval period, it was rationalism, metaphysical. It was rationalism, metaphysical. So after Renaissance and Reformation, slowly there was an intellectual explosion brought out by Gentilis, Francis Bacon, and Hugo Grotius, like empiricists. Now, so we have come out from this black period to the scientific era. So therefore, empirical is a scientific method. You are applying science. Knowledge is derived from experience, from experiment. Experimental science is the paradigm, scientific method. Empirical research means it is integral part of scientific method, Carl Pearson. So truth can be derived not by shortcut method, only by this scientific research. It is integral part of scientific method. It combines reasoning with observation. You observe things. Discovery with justification. Verification of hypothesis. Testing of hypothesis. You will formulate hypothesis. The test term hypothesis is also tested. So therefore, empirical method means it is scientific method. It is a socio-legal method. It is a sociological method. Something it is, you are studying the impact of law on society. So it is, you are verifying the facts in the society, sociological, socio-legal. All sciences, including jurisprudence, a culmination of the process of research. Research is a continuing process. In the West, legal research means it is the essential part of legal studies. So therefore, now in the legal studies, everywhere you find the empirical research. Next slide. Empirical. So empirical means it is otherwise called as non-doctrinal, socio-legal. What type of laws can be enacted by empirical research? What are the factors for the delay of in the administration of justice? You can take up empirical research. What are the problems in the interpretation, implementation of you can take up modification. So you take one aspect of legal decision making, judicial process, that is empirical. The approach is broader. In the empirical research, the approach is very broader. You will be asking so many questions. Data not available in the conventional legal source like. So therefore, empirical research is not a black letter research. It is not a library-based research. Go out. It is field-based. It is field-based. Go to the field. Meet the respondents by way of giving questionnaire, by observation, by interview. So it's like that you will collect the data, interpret the data, and submit a report by application of statistics and by application of mathematical logic. Then next slide. So therefore, empirical investigation now proliferated in the U.S., United States of America. So they say humanities precede law. Don't think that law is took its precedence from even humanities or much precedent to law. Then, madam, next slide. So Roscoe found Julius Stone. Roscoe found says all the social sciences and law must be co-workers. So you cannot separate law from social sciences. Law is an allied subject. That is what I want to say. Law is an allied subject. Kindly don't forget this at any point of time. Law is an allied subject. Law is not a pure subject. Law is not an autonomous discipline. See, if you see the 5-year course, integrated course, first 2 years, pre-law course, non-law course. Afterwards, from 3rd year onwards, law will start. So therefore, Julius Stone says law is lawyer's extraversion. See, at the time of interpretation of law in the judicial process, court will look at not only the law, court will go beyond the law. Court will go beyond the law. It will go outside the field of law. Is there something available for the adjudication outside the field of law? Social science subjects, technology, science, computers. This is what is called as theory of realism. Realism. Justice Holmes, the father of realism in America. So social sciences are allied to jurisprudence. You cannot separate law from social science subjects. Okay, much concerned with a wider branch of law. So Justice Holmes, Brandis, and Cardozo. So Cardozo, so realist, behavioral approach, policy-oriented jurisprudence, impact analysis. So what is, say, for example, if a decision is given by the Supreme Court, what is the impact of such a decision on the society? You can take up impact analysis, that is also empirical research. Similarly, if a law is made by the parliament, what is the impact of law on the society? What is the impact of law on the society? So many anti-conversion laws were passed by the Uttar Pradesh government and other Karnataka and all. So what is the impact of these laws on the society? What is the impact of Supreme Court decision in Shabano case? So therefore, these are all. So during those days, Brandis brief. So Brandis brief was for the first time employed by the Supreme Court of America in Muller versus Oregon. Brandis brief means it was a technique, a brief. Formally, we are all lawyers, we know only the legal brief. We know only the interlocutory brief. Brandis brief is 1,000 pages. Interlocutory brief, legal brief is 10 pages. What is this? So in Muller versus Oregon, for the first time, the Supreme Court has applied this Brandis brief. Later on in Dred Scott versus Sanford, in so many Indian cases also. In Muller versus Oregon, the question was, there are in laundry and bakery and laundry, so in so many laundries, bakery in America, in the state of Oregon, more women workers were employed. So a law was passed by the state of Oregon saying restricting the working hours of women. So this law was challenged by a social activist before the Supreme Court. So from that day onwards, it was called as a Brandis brief. Brandis collected much details from social science subjects, from sociological sciences, from medical journals and all, and submitted a report before the Supreme Court saying for justification of the law made by the state of Oregon, the law was restricting the working hours of women. One cannot work for more than 8 hours. Men can work for 10 hours, 8 hours. Women cannot. They are feeding mothers. They are producing children. Their structure is entirely different. Women cannot work for longer periods. So a law was made by the Oregon restricting the working hours. That was upheld by the Supreme Court of America based upon Brandis brief. So from that day onwards, it was famously called as Brandis brief. So therefore, Jurimetrics took its birth with Brandis brief from Muller versus Oregon in America. Much statistical data was submitted before the Supreme Court. Sociological survey method. Statistics were submitted before the Supreme Court. And later on in Findlay versus Mildway. Brown versus Board of Education. You must be knowing which overruled Dred Scott versus Sanford. In Dred Scott, Dred Scott was overruled. Plessy versus Ferguson was overruled in Brown versus Board of Education, where there was, they are popularly called as school segregation cases. For women, for black children, separate schooling, white children, separate schooling. A discriminatory law practices in the schools, because in the Negro period, during Abraham Lincoln and when John Kennedy was the president of America. So much, there was a much Negro, blacks were not given rights. And they have invoked a doctrine called equal but separate doctrine, equal but separate. So Dred Scott was, and these Negroes were not considered, blacks were not considered as the citizens of America. They are the second-rated citizens, no rights. So this Dred Scott was overruled. Justice Taney in Dred Scott, that was overruled in Brown versus Board of Education, famously called as school segregation cases. So now, why? Because when the children are going to the school, separating schooling system means they will be looked down. Black children will be looked down. And during the childhood days, childhood comes for the children only once in their life. During the childhood days, they will be looked down, they will be discriminated, and the inferiority complexion will be developed in the childhood days itself. So therefore, Brown versus Board of Education, Brandis brief was applied, which overruled Dred Scott and other important cases. So as a result, you must be knowing there was a movement in America as a result. John Kennedy, Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa and India, and John King, Martin Luther. They are anti-apartheid crusaders. They are called as anti-apartheid crusaders. They are known for their martyrdom. John Kennedy was shot dead in America. John Martin Luther was also assassinated. You must be knowing our leader, our beloved leader, Mahatma Gandhi ji, the father of nation, was killed. Why? Because of this anti-apartheid crusading. So they are known for their martyrdom. Immediately there was a law, amendment to the American Constitution, 13th Amendment was passed by bringing about equality class, no racial discrimination, no apartheid hereafter. All are equal before law, no separate but equal doctrines. So in India also, in so many other cases, Justice Krishnaiyer, who was the militant judge, who was the judge known for his pro-poor, pro-worker, and this progressive thinking man, applied this Brandis brief in Banerjee versus Anita Pan to uphold some social welfare legislations. And in other case, State of Kerala versus Rosanna. In this case also, Brandis brief, you can check when in the Indian cases, Brandis brief was applied by Justice Krishna. These are the two popular cases. So therefore, my dear friends, jurimetrics is nothing but scientific investigation of legal problems. It is a challenge to orthodox jurisprudence. Hitherto, we know only jurisprudence. Jurisprudence means, so in jurisprudence, there are so many techniques, logic, deductive logic, syllogistic logic, dialectical reasoning, analogy. So nothing, jurimetrics, no application of science and technology, hitherto. So therefore, jurimetrics is a challenge to orthodox jurisprudence. It is a challenge to matching jurisprudence, matching, whether two cases match. The job of the judge is matching jurisprudence. So Lee Lawanger, who was in America, the pioneer in introducing jurimetric studies in the field of law. So, Lee Lowenger can be remembered, who is the father of jurimetric studies in America. So, in Volga Telly's case also, jurimetric studies were applied by the Supreme Court. Volga Telly's pavement dwellers case, then AP Pollution Control Board. In this case also, jurimetric was applied. Next slide, madam. So therefore, you must be knowing the cases of empirical, where the empirical investigations were conducted by the Supreme Court or under the leadership of Supreme Court, famously called as TIS, Tata Institute of Social Science, TIS. So a research report was the basis for the Supreme Court of Indian Supreme Court. In Muzaffarpur, in Bihar, there is one district called as Muzaffarpur, where so many children, this woman homes, child homes, child were sexually abused, children were sexually exploited by the employees, by the other staff members of child homes for so many years. This was a thoroughly investigated research, empirical study was conducted by TIS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and a report was submitted before the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has seriously frowned upon this matter. Similarly, ban on love jihad and so many anti-conversion laws, were made by Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka. So these are all against, this law. See, similarly, same-sex marriages. So same-sex marriages are fit for empirical study. So like this, so I wrote a paper. So because now you must be knowing, this is so that you will understand by all this presentation what is jurisprudence and what is jurimetrics, what is rationalism and what is empiricism. Rationalism based upon reason, based upon deductive logic, but empiricism is entirely different. Empiricism means it is based upon observation. It is based upon practical study, by field study, by conducting research, field research. It is not library based. So okay, so like this, and there is another slide, another next slide. Next, there is another slide, PPT. So in this article, this is published in ILM, Journal of Indian Law Institute, in 2009. It is available from January to March issue. So therefore, judicial process means it is integral to the administration of justice. Justice cannot be administered without the judicial process. Judicial process, therefore, is a reasoned process. Reason, human reason, judicial reason, intellectual. It is an intellectual. Judicial process is an intellectual exercise, procedure by which judges will decide case. See, for judging the cases, there are so many tools now. Don't think that only deductive logic, inductive logic, scientific method, scientific tools. Your cell phone, your pen drive is helpful for the court to solve the problems. Your pen drive. Sometimes CCTV cameras are useful for solving the problems. Hit and run cases. Your computer is important. In the computer, there is so much of data in the hard disk. So therefore, judicial process means it comprehends the mental process. It is mental process. It is a reasoned process. It is a human process. It is an intellectual exercise. It is developments in science and technology can be absorbed in judicial process. This is what I want to say. Now, there are so many developments in science and technology. Forensic science, DNA technology, ART, assisted reproductive technology. All these technologies are now reproductive technology. So all these technologies now can be applied by the court in deciding cases. So many technologies, developments in science. So therefore now when so many developments have taken place in science and technology, law has to keep pace with the changing times and circumstances. Law has to keep pace with the scientific advancements. So now, developments in forensic science, a powerful tool for judiciary. Developments in forensic science. Forensic science, a powerful tool for the court. It is an emerging tool. Similarly, fingerprint technology, fingerprints, footprints, ballistic technology. They are all now part and parcel of this forensic science. So anthropometry, fingerprints, footprints technology, ballistics, Odonto technology, serology were essentially developed to aid criminal justice administration. Okay. Then, so therefore, my dear friends, judicial process is not, as you think, it is not very easy for the court. In civil law system, civil law jurisdiction like French, America, Italy, entirely different. No precedents. Now in common law like US, England, India, where much precedent law is applied, there is no problem. But in the entire world now we judges now judicial process is not being relied upon mechanical jurisprudence. Don't really say goodbye to mechanical jurisprudence. Say goodbye to orthodox in jurisprudence. So jurimetrics is a movement, a strong movement, come up opposing orthodox, judicial orthodoxy, mechanical jurisprudence, matching jurisprudence. Mechanical means deductive technology. There is a, so deductive, by deductive logic, by reason, simply by application of the law. There is a law is applied by the court. So you must be studying in jurisprudence, two types of interpretation. So this interpretation is very important. Declaratory law is, the court's job is not to declare the law. It is to find out the law, to interpret the law. There is a creative job. There is a lot of creativity for the court. Court has to forge new tools. Court has to find out the new tools and techniques. It has to forge so many things. Don't blindly apply the law. Mechanically, don't apply the law is, yes, law is applicable, law is applied, solve the problem. No, that's not the job of the court. Yeah. So therefore, for the transformation of the society, there is a lot of creativity. Similarly, matching jurisprudence. See, for example, my dear friends, I used to explain this example in my class for PG students. Go to a cloth bazaar, cloth shop. You will buy a saree for your wife. Afterwards, this blouse. So where do you go to blouse? Blouse is also available, matching blouse. So there are so many saleswomen, they will show a matching blouse. So the saree matches with the blouse. That's all. Similarly, the job of the court, the job of the judge is also matching jurisprudence. No. Do you agree with me? Is it the matching job? Well, yes, there is a case before us. How are you going to solve a problem? There is a precedent already available. So I will apply that precedent because the facts of both the cases are similar. When facts of both the cases are similar, you apply this. Already there is a precedent, authoritative precedent, it is binding. No, that is not. See, if you are doing the judicial process like this, it is matching jurisprudence, mechanical jurisprudence, where there is no creativity. See, according to Cardozo and all others, Justice Professor H.L.A. Hart, law is a open texture. Law is not a closed subject. My dear friends, you have to remember forever. Law is not a closed one. It is a ocean. It is an open texture. So it transcends to the other fields of law. Are there any techniques? Are there any data, any laws, information available in the fields other than law. Julius Stone, law is lawyers extraversion, Julius Stone. So you seek remedies. Are there any remedies? Are there any other solutions available other than the field of law? This is what the Jurimetrics will do in the judicial process. So in the continental jurisprudence in Europe, matching jurisprudence, because in in all these cases, there is no creativity at all, because law is clearly laid down. You start from ancient Greek Roman period onwards. Justinian code is available in the ancient Roman period. Justinian codification. French law, Napoleonic code is available. All the laws are clearly codified. When all the laws are clearly codified, the job of the court is very easy. No creativity. Law is applied. You find out the law. Yes, law is available. Apply the law. Solve the problem. No creativity. So judges do not make the law. The question is whether judges are lawmakers. Yes, as a lawyer, we have to always say judges are lawmakers. Judges are not merely declaring the law. Just judges are not, court is not merely applying the law. They are creating the new laws. In what has happened in Visakhapatnam case, so much of when there was no law on prohibiting the sexual harassment at workplace, so many guidelines were passed by the Supreme Court in Visakhapatnam. Even now, there is no law on anti-lynching. So law is wanting in a country like India. So judges create laws, but don't subscribe to the view that judges are only the lawmakers. Law is made by the parliament. When there is no law available on a particular subject, then the law is developed, the law is created, the guidelines are passed by the court. So judges do not make the law if you subscribe matching jurisprudence. Concepts are there, they will apply the legal concepts. Elements of creation, discovery in the judicial process, no in matching jurisprudence. Acceptance of brand is brief. Then a legal system is open texture according to Professor H.L.A. Hart. So therefore, in mechanical matching jurisprudence, Coke, according to Lord Coke, reason is the life of law. Common law itself is nothing but based upon reason. Now they are all, being opposed by jurimetric approaches. So because Felicius Cohen forcefully and repeatedly argued against the concept law. So law is never self-sufficient. Law is never self-sufficient, not completely autonomous discipline. So now we started moving to the jurimetric studies. So you can witness the dramatic action of the Supreme Court in Muller versus Oregon, which I was discussing just now. So therefore, modern jurisprudence means towards jurimetrics. Now from jurisprudence to jurimetrics means modern jurisprudence entrenches on the fields of social sciences, philosophy, science, technology. So study of jurisprudence should be therefore always integrative, purposive. So therefore, if you want to become a successful lawyer, according to Julius Stone, mastery of social sciences other than law is indispensable. If you want to become a successful lawyer, mastery of social science subjects is essential, is indispensable, according to Julius Stone. So Justice Holmes, Pollock, Brandis, Cardozo, Frank, Vinogradov, they all sought to relate law in its social context. So therefore, the idea of lawyers' legal extraversion will remind the society that law is part of social life. You cannot separate law. Law is integral part of society. Without law, no progress, no transformation. If there is a law, Law is to be changed. Law is to be thoroughly reformed. When law is not performing, when law performs, when law will be performing its role only when it is reformed. So therefore, law is there. It is old law. It is very ancient law. You change the law, reform the law, thoroughly reform the law, so that it performs. So perform. Why perform? To reform. What to reform? Social transform. So perform, reform, social transform. That is the job of law always. So therefore, the law, we as lawyers, we should always relate law to the social context. Law cannot be sealed off. It cannot be diversified from other branches of knowledge. This is very important for us. So lawyers must know the current ethos of social trends in moving and to make the law as an aid in the service of society. Lawyers should not be mere legal technicians knowing the legal texts, precedents, etc., legal machinery procedure. A lawyer is a social physician. According to Krishna, welfare legislations calculated for the benefits of the weaker sections, poor, where I was discussing Brandis brief was applied in Banerjee versus Anita Pan in Kerala state, Kerala versus Rosanna. The Brandis brief was applied by Krishna. During those days, judicial, jurimetric studies were applied by the court to sustain the welfare legislation benefiting the weaker sections. So therefore, my dear friends, now the question is the modern problem of jurisprudence is problem of using innovations. Are there innovations, scientific innovations, scientific advancements? That is, Jurimetrics talks of that subject. Are there innovations, advancements in science and technology? Why don't you use those innovations to help solve the problems? Innovation. So judicial process, in the judicial process, a judge is always an innovator. During those days, only renovation, no innovation, only renovation. Now, renovation is to be replaced by innovation, scientific innovations, then for the efficient system of law and justice. So therefore, jurimetrics assumes significance here only. When advancements in science and technology are applied to the field of law, jurimetrics assumes significance. Therefore, my dear friends, what is jurimetrics? Jurimetrics is very simple. It is a new idea. It is nothing but scientific investigation of legal problems. You scientifically think. You are not only a rational being. You can observe things. You think. Aristotelian was both a rationalist and empiricist, a great philosopher. Greek philosopher. So therefore, you think, you observe things. Thinking is very important. So, scientific investigation of legal problems, therefore, it is a new challenge to orthodox jurisprudence. It is a movement. Jurimetrics is nothing but it is a movement developed in, jurisprudence only, taking place in jurisprudence. While jurisprudence is a speculative idea, jurimetrics is scientific investigation of legal problems, empirical approach towards law. Jurisprudence is based upon rationalism, a priori knowledge, a priori thinking. Jurimetrics is based upon empiricism, empirical approach towards law. It is modern, it is scientific. Now it is gaining voice in the modern age of science and technology. We are living in the scientific era, therefore it is gaining voice. And it is a claim for modern science, technology, that how best this science and technology can be harnessed in the field of law. So therefore, my dear friends, judicial behavior can be quantified, it can be qualified also. It can be quantified by mathematical tools, by statistical tools. So you can predict now judicial behavior. You must be knowing the American Supreme Court decisions after Great Depression from 1930s. After 1930s, so many social welfare legislations were upheld by the American Supreme Court. Okay. So why for the social progress to come out of that Great Depression? They were policy makers. They were political. So many decisions were taken. Political decisions were upheld to sustain this socio-legal legislations after the Great Depression. You must be knowing, after the Great Depression, so many Supreme Court decisions. So it is by way of jurimetric studies only. The voting, if you take up the voting pattern of the judicial behavior, American judiciary, after the 1930s, uh, uh, that can be quantified. So quantification by quantifying the judicial behavior by jurimetrics, qualifying also by qualitative also by using block analysis, scalogram, block analysis are the two methods for qualitative analysis. Quantitative, that is different. Qualitative analysis of judicial behavior by scalogram and block analysis. Quantitative analysis is also now slowly developed in judicial process in modern jurisprudence. When unimaginable mass authoritative materials, large chunk of data is available, so that data can be retrieved for analysis, for analogies, and for comparison and contrast. So therefore, modern jurisprudence, jurimetrics was implied in during those days in Brandis brief itself. Okay, so Brandis brief is very important. Similarly, tape record evidence can be used. Voice recording, tape record evidence can be used. Tape recorded conversations, speeches, documents are defined under Section 3 of the Evidence Act, jurimetric studies. Photo technology, video conferencing, they are immensely useful. Video conferencing during the corona pandemic times, video conferencing was much useful for the courts. Courts in America have already accepted voice identification evidence based upon analysis of voice print. Conversations of taped telephone are useful. Tapped telephone, telephonic conversation can be tapped. It is against privacy, but then it can be tapped, useful for exposing links between terrorists, underground dons on the one hand, and politicians on the other hand. Are there any political links, terrorist links between the politicians on the one hand and the underground dons on the other? This conversation of telephonic conversations can be tapped. Similarly, use of computers. So I want to say computers are now immensely useful when in the computers much data is available. Data retrieval is integral to jurimetric studies. Storing of mass data, materials, and the computers play a very important role in the administration of now justice. The traditional tools developed by the judicial process are very old, slow to change. Now, therefore, there is an urgent need. Now, computer, internet. How far internet is a tool for legal research? I think I need not tell you much about the internet. Internet is much useful for the research, tape recorded evidence, use of computers, DNA, fingerprint technology for determining paternity, who is the father of the child, like that, polygraph, brain mapping, and narco analysis. So they were challenged in Selvi versus State of Karnataka, Supreme Court has upheld this polygraph technology, brain mapping. They are psychological tests employed by the police investigators, investigation officers in the criminal justice administration at the time of investigation, but without the consent of the accused people, these techniques, the tools, forensic tools cannot. These are all, my dear friends, forensic tools, polygraph, brain mapping, narco analysis, DNA fingerprinting. They are all forensic tools emerged recently in the judicial process. They are very useful and they are, jurimetric techniques. Similarly, artificial intelligence, machine learning, drone technology, they are the now emerging tools now. Very recently, drones were, employed very recently in China, India and China border, you must be knowing, which is a cause of always border skirmishes between China and India. Next slide, madam. Next slide. What are the? Yes. So, jurisprudence, now I can say jurisprudence metamorphosed into jurimetrics. Once we were talking about jurisprudence. Jurisprudence means speculative idea, natural law, given by God, based upon reason, deductive logic, rationality. Those days have gone. Jurisprudence metamorphosed into jurimetrics. Jurimetrics took off with the employment of Brandis brief. Now, justice is not administered by the human beings, judges. Justice is being administered by the machine. Machine-made justice, computer-made justice. If you are a savvy, if you are a computer savvy, you will shine. If you are a lawyer, you must be a technology lawyer. You must be knowing all these technologies and tools. Otherwise, you will fail in the miserably in the profession. So therefore, it is jurimetrics is nothing but very simple. I am explaining you in a simple style. Jurimetrics means in simple, it is an interface between computer and a person. We are persons. There is a computer on the other hand. So jurimetrics is nothing but it is an interface between the computer and a person. Jurisprudence is primarily an undertaking of rationalism, jurisprudence. But jurisprudence, jurimetrics is not rationalism. It is to utilize the method of science. What are the tools available in the science? Forensic science, ballistic science, odontology, so many science, other science. So apply those tools and techniques in the field of law. So this is how the jurimetrics developed, my dear friends. And so therefore, now the contemporary world, I can say, is we are living in a knowledge society. What is knowledge means? Knowledge management is important. We are having so much of knowledge, vast knowledge. How are you going to manage this knowledge? Okay, much legal data is enormously increasing, but you cannot use that data because it is voluminous. So you have to retrieve data, analyze data, interpret data. The amount of case law is also increasing everywhere. Overruling of old precedents, coming up of new cases like that. So it is like this, the jurimetrics developed. So therefore, my dear friends, jurimetrics means it is empirical approach towards law. It is quantitative analysis of judicial behavior, qualitative analysis of judicial behavior also, both qualitative and quantitative, by using communication and information technology. Data retrieval is very important function performed by the lawyers. Data retrieval. There is vast data available in the lawyer's office, judge's office. So many legal law people, attorneys are working. What are they doing? They will retrieve data from the computer, electronic computer. So storage of data, retrieval of legal data is the essence of jurimetrics. So data retrieval is one of the important functions performed by lawyers and judges. So in the legal academia, jurimetrics means strictly empirical approach towards law. Very simple. You know now, by now, you know what is empiricism. You don't forget about rationalism. Those days have gone. You don't talk about the ancient Greek and other things. So therefore, you talk about the modern scientific period. Scientific, what are the scientific tools? You prove scientifically. Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? How are you going to get the evidence? Electronic data, retrieve data. Where do you get this data? Computer. That is the function of jurimetrics. Now it encompasses influence on law and hard sciences and also social sciences disciplines other than law, other than. So therefore, jurisprudence is primarily an undertaking of rationalism, but jurimetrics is utilizing science in the field of law. It investigates. It investigates. So during those days, jurisprudence means I was explaining, so many approaches in judicial process. So what are the approaches? Behavioralism, rationalism, legal function, institutionalism, like that. So many techniques are there. Behavioral approach in the judicial, attitudinalism in the judicial. Say in the judicial process, while judging a case, not only the even the conscience, subconscious level also. There are so many influencing factors in the judicial process. You don't think the judges are policy makers. They are the policy makers. So many other there are in this ideology. What is the social background of a judge? What is the influence? What is the ideology, the social background? What is the ideology of Justice Krishnaiyer? What is the ideology of Justice Bhagavati? They are the militant judges. They are known for their progressive thinking. They are known for their pro-poor, pro-worker judgments. They developed much of poverty jurisprudence, Daridra Narayan jurisprudence. Okay. So they are very rare in the legal fraternity. So therefore, these are all old techniques. Now, during those days, Justice Krishnaiyer was employing this jurimetrics in the avatar of Brandis brief. So, if you want to study the scope of jurimetrics, the scope of jurimetrics is very vast, very vast. Now we have come out from the black letter research to the modern research by way of scientific method. The man of future is man of statistics. We employ statistical tools. We employ statistical tools. So, therefore, my dear friends, jurimetrics means jurimetrics. Jury means just law. Metrics means like econometrics. Okay. So, metrics means measuring, quantifying data, quantifying the behavior. Whose behavior? Judicial behavior. So, a judge, while rendering justice, while giving a judgment, before that, there are so many influencing factors. Judicial process cannot be rationalized. Once it was a statement, judicial, according to Cardozo, small book written by Cardozo, 100 pages. Judicial process cannot be rationalized without applying logic, history, sociology. Yes, you apply sociology. Law is for the purpose of society. Logic, history, the historical context, how law was derived, whether law was there in the ancient Greek, Roman period. No, there was no law, was everywhere, but law was inherent in every human, natural. So now, more positive, no, law is made by the state. Law is positive law. Don't believe law is made by only legislature makes the law. So therefore, so jurimetric research can be undertaken for descriptive purpose and also for predictive. Descriptive means descriptive research can be undertaken with mathematical tools. predictive analysis can be with the by sophisticated technology, by statistical tools, so that we can predict the judgment by jurimetric technique, by jurimetric approach. So the large amount of data on voting behavior of judges can be quantified, can be analyzed, classified, so as to reveal the patterns. What is the pattern? See, there is large amount of data. The data can be retrieved, it can be quantified, classified. Why? To reveal certain patterns. What is the pattern? Voting pattern. What is the voting pattern? Next year, if there is election, what will be the voting pattern? The pre-poll survey. It will be conducted by jurimetric, by statistical tools only. It can be quantified, analyzed, or classified so as to reveal the pattern, uniformities, suggesting some new hypothesis. That is what the jurimetric does. The business of the jurimetrics is to reveal patterns, uniformities, suggesting some new hypothesis. So therefore, the the jurimetrics is very important. The scope of the jurimetrics is very important. In statistics also, means, mode, ratios, percentages are always ways of summarizing the features, relationships in data. In statistic means, I'm talking about the means, mode, ratios, percentages can be done by way of summarizing the features and relationships of data. Statistical measures based upon theory of probability, they go beyond the quantifying data and devices. So quantitative methods, qualitative methods, quantitative methods when there is a bulk of data, complexity of variables involved in research. This is how. So therefore, in the computer, don't say that a computer is useful only for typing. So it is something beyond. So computer can do wonders because of its capacity of storage of bulk of data, storage, then collection of data, storage of data, retrieval of data. Okay, so this is how in the West the jurimetric approaches are applied for quantifying data and all. Now, this is also called as institutional structure. The court is also playing an important role. See, so therefore, there are, my dear friends, so many influencing factors in the jurimetrics. And a judge, a poor man, he is influenced by so many other factors, foreign precedents, Indian precedents, no law, no precedent, logic, his own reason, his conscience, his discretion. So a judge is having large discretionary power. By exercising his discretion, he can forge new tools. This is an integral part of judicial process. He can create new tools. Because a judge, during those, the judge has no discretion power. Aristotle, no. Judge, according to Professor H.L.A. Hart, judge is having a lot of discretionary power. He can do anything. He can forge new tools. He can create new things. So, in the process, the background, the social background, the ideology, Justice Krishna was having communist ideology, leftist ideology. Yes, pro-poor ideology. That also matters very much. That influences the judicial process. Other judges, they are right-wing judges. They look the law, whether the law is okay. They don't bother about the working conditions of the poor. They don't bother about the labor. They don't bother about the society. They don't bother about the prosperity, progress of the society. So this is how you have to learn, my dear friends. You have to learn the jurimetrics. So therefore, jurimetrics is a very vast subject. This is how I used to teach this subject for my students. Now the forum is open for questions. We can interact. You are free to interact with me. You can raise some doubts, questions. You can raise some. I am ready to solve your doubts, clarify your doubts. Any doubts? I don't know whether how far you have followed my lecture. Whether my
So good evening,
lecture
sir.
is useful for this diploma course students.
So good evening. Am I audible to you, sir? So good evening. Am I audible to you, sir?
Madam, no doubts, madam.
Sir, there are
Any doubts, please?
one or two questions in the chat box, and I think Hagin was trying
Yes.
to ask a question. Hagin,
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible to you, sir?
sir, can you hear this question?
Sir, am I audible to you, sir? Ma'am, I think he's not able to hear me, ma'am.
Can you just write it in the chat box?
It's not
Yes,
audible,
ma'am.
madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the first question is, that is which I think you have explained. That is how jury
It
metrics.
is not audible, madam. It is not audible.
Okay. Yes.
I don't hear you.
So you can't hear me?
Am I audible to you, madam?
Sir, you're audible, sir.
But you are not audible to me, madam. There is some technical problem.
There is. So can you hear me now? Just a minute. Sir, now can you hear me? Sir, can you once again rejoin? No.
ఇది వాళ్ళు వినపడతా ఉంది, అది వినపడలేదంట. స్పీకర్ ఏదన్నా మేడం, is it audible, madam?
So we can hear you, sir, but I think you're not able to hear us. So can you hear us? Can you hear me, sir? Sir, please unmute, sir. You're muted, sir.
Is it audible, madam?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you hear me now, right, sir?
So yeah. Now I can hear you. So far my lecture was clear, madam. Whether
Yes, sir. Perfectly. It is okay, sir. We could hear you.
Okay.
I think.
Ma'am, can I ask the question, ma'am?
Please go ahead.
Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. First of all, before going to the question, I really want to appreciate you for handling this topic very beautifully, sir, because you have explained the concepts very simply, and it was really insightful to us. Because when I saw the poster, when the topic was Jurimetrics, I was really unaware of what this topic is. And you have given a brief, beautiful idea about the concept. And when the Canadian court gave a judgment that was SWT Limited versus HR, in which a WhatsApp thumbs up was accepted as the acceptance in the contract law, I was thinking like, how can a system go like this? But now I understood why the judge has accepted this thumbs up as acceptance, because these are all part of this jury metric system. Also, this Bharati Nagarika Suraksha bill, they have introduced a new provision of hearing sessions online. Trials
Yes,
can be conducted online. Now
yes.
I can understand. Now I understood why these all provisions rely upon technology, because now I got a brief idea about jurisprudence. Sorry, jury metrics. My question is this, sir. Once again, I extend my gratefulness to you for bringing so much insight to me on this topic. My question is this, sir. Do you think the system or the scientific system would replace the existing system in any way? In your opinion, I just want to know your opinion.
No,
Whether
no, no.
this,
No, no, it will never replace the existing system. See, the any improvements, any advancements, improvements in the science and technology can be harnessed, can be employed in the judicial process, in the adjudicatory process. That is what I want to say. That is called as jurimetrics. See, if there is no remedy, if there is no solution, if there is no tool available in the existing system, then so many systems, so many tools are developed by the science and technology. Those now science and technology will come to the rescue of the judiciary. Okay, in the judicial process, in the administration of justice. See how far the science and technology can be harnessed in the in the in the solving of legal problems. That is what is called as jurimetrics. Okay, sir. Okay,
yes,
that
sir,
will
yes, sir. Thank you.
replace the
Thank you. It will never
existing
replace. Thank you.
system. Still, along with the rationalism, along with the rational thinking, reason, the other thing, science and technology will also help. See, basically, we are a rational being. A human being is a rational being, social being, rational being, according to Aristotle. So we are guided by the reason. We know the logic. We know the reason. So, along with the reason, alongside the reason, the science and technology, the emerging tools are also useful in the adjudication process. Okay, sir?
Sir,
Okay?
so we can conclude like jury metrics is the sum total of jurisprudence plus science and technology tools.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It is a new idea. It is a movement against orthodox jurisprudence.
yes, sir. Clear, clear.
Orthodox.
Okay.
Orthodox.
Okay.
You see,
Thank
during
you.
those
Thank
days, jurisprudence means only concepts, nothing, deductive logic. Now, nothing. So it is nothing like matching jurisprudence nor orthodox. It is a new idea. It is a movement against the orthodox. It is a modern. See, jurimetrics is modern jurisprudence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
It is
Thank you.
modern jurisprudence.
So there's a question from Blessing. How jury metrics helps in delegation of legislation? That's a question from Blessing.
Yeah. See, so many laws are there, but laws are not working properly. There are so many difficulties in the working of laws at the implementation level. For example, in Bandhuva Mukti Mocha, I think constitutional students must know. This is a very landmark case on bonded labor. In Bandhuva Mukti Mocha, the Supreme Court has employed this Brandis brief, empirical research. How means in Faridabad district, so many stone quarries were there, there, what are the working conditions of the workers working in stone quarries? For that, the Supreme Court has sent a team of lawyers, a commission, lawyers commission to study the problem in Faridabad, which is notorious for stone quarries. The lawyers commission was appointed by the Supreme Court, visited the site, submitted, collected lot of data by employing these empirical tools, survey and all, submitted a report to the Supreme Court saying that these labor welfare legislations, bonded labor legislations, they are not working well. So there is a lot of human rights violation taking place in in Faridabad, where bonded laborers are working. So Supreme Court has come out with a wonderful decision by saying a law needs to be improved. There is a law, bonded labor abolition law, so many other laws, but they are not working properly. So for working properly, to remove the difficulties at the implementation level, this judgment is very useful, very useful. Similarly, so many people in this country are being lynched. There is no anti-lynching law. Even today, in some of the, except in some of the states like Haryana, there is no national legislation, parliamentary law on anti-lynching. Now, it is the time for Supreme Court has come forward some time back, say, why don't you make anti-lynching law? Similarly, in Karnataka and Maharashtra, so many people were killed, assassinated because of this, blind beliefs and all. Blind beliefs. So many people, Narendra Dabolkar, Gauri Lankesh was brutally assassinated in Bengaluru. Narendra Dabolkar, Govind Pansare, they are all against, they are rationalists. They were preaching against blind beliefs. You must be knowing there is one directive principle of state policy. The fundamental duty to promote scientific temper. Don't blindly believe things. You promote scientific temper, reform, inquire, you properly inquire. Similarly, in Andhra Pradesh, two girls, two daughters, parents have killed two daughters. Why? To attain supernatural powers. Will anybody believe nowadays? So these things are happening blindly, but there is no law against this these blind beliefs and all. So we blindly believe. So these are all nothing but superstitions. So Govind Pansare, Gauri Lankesh, Narendra Dabolkar, they are all anti-superstition crusaders. There is no law against superstition. There is no law against blind beliefs. There is no law against black magic. Even today, there is no law against this lynching, anti-lynching law. There is no law. So this time, because of the studies only, everywhere we have these things are news are hitting the headlines of newspapers, in the TV. So now it is the right time to conduct empirical study, to submit a report. Now Supreme Court has said on so many occasions, you make law against anti-superstition law, don't believe things blindly. There is no so many people who are killed, Anti-lynching means cow slaughtering. When you must be knowing, you come down from to Babri to Dadri. In Dadri, Muhammad Akhlaq was lynched when he was keeping beef at home. Beef is very cheap commodity for poor people. I cannot afford mutton and chicken. I can only eat beef. Unfortunately, in this country, there is a beef ban, there is a dress ban, there is a film ban, there is a book ban. If you write a book will not be released. Beef ban. You don't eat beef. Cow is very pious for the Hindu woman. What is this? So therefore, it is in this background. I think you have to think. There is no law on this anti-lynching law. No. This anti-superstition law. No. Despite a clear fundamental duty is there. Very important. Very important. Will anybody believe? Now these people are useless. People are preaching everywhere. In Sri Lanka, there was an international airport during Ramayana period. There was an international airport in Sri Lanka. Will anybody believe? Will anybody believe? Plastic surgery was performed on Ganesha. Will anybody believe? Okay. Yeah, this is how think about whether it my discussion has clarified your doubt, ma?
Yes. Sir, there is another question that is,
Please.
sir, who can be made liable when artificial intelligence tools used by judges are biased? I'll repeat the question, sir. Who can be made liable when artificial intelligence tools made by used by the judges are biased?
Now, there is a need for law on this field. There is no law on artificial intelligence and all, machine learning and all. There is no law except, I think, except information technology. Where is the law on this artificial intelligence and all? Human intelligence is entirely different from artificial intelligence, machine learning. If something happens, I think only the computer JVs, you people must know the answer. Must be know. I belong to that generation, madam. I know human intelligence and artificial, but artificial intelligence is also being intelligence generated by the human beings only. Yes, madam. Only human being is held liable. A human being is behind everywhere, madam. Behind the computer, behind artificial, behind machine, behind drone, there is a human being.
So there is another question, that is, could you please elaborate the use of jurimetrics in order to bring up some change in social policy within the light of Roscoe-Pond theory of social engineering?
Yeah. So
that's a question from Sanjay Jha.
So according to Roscoe-Pond, law is a social engineering. So all lawyers are social engineers, social physicians, like that. So therefore, law must be always useful for the society. Law is to serve the society, for the mankind, for the for the benefit of the human being. So like that, law reforms can be brought about by jurimetric studies. Law reforms can be done. Law reforms can be performed. See, for the Indian Constitution, so many reforms were done. Now, more than 100 times the Constitution of India has been amended. Now, the Constitution of India is not the same as it was before in 1950. So many changes, so many reforms were prepped up. How? Why? Because of the change. Some change in society. The changes will take place in the interpretation of the law, in the law also. So when there is a change in the technology and science, accordingly, law will also keep pace with the changes, the changing times and circumstances. Okay. So when so many things are artificial intelligence, this assisted reproductive technology, and we do not know much before. Now there is much law. Much law is developed. Now law is codified clearly on assisted reproductive technology. So when for a couple, if there is no child, now they can have a child by surrogate, by IVF technology and all. So it is all by way of changes only. Now there is a law made by the Parliament. Law is clearly codified. Okay, on surrogacy and assisted reproductive technology. So some time back there was no law. So to regulate this assisted reproductive technology and all. Now there is so accordingly, when there is some change in the technology, science, accordingly law is also changing. Law is not lagging behind. Law also is also as per the times, changing times and circumstances. Law is also keeping pace. Law is also being changed. Okay, so like that, jurimetric studies, empirical studies are playing a very important part in the salient revolution of the society, in the salient social revolution, in the for the social progress, for transformation of the society. So if law is not changed, if law is not performed, you change the law, perform the law, so that it will reform the law. Why? So that it will reform the society. Okay, madam? Okay, madam.
Yes. So there are two more questions. The first one, it's from Ria Raymol I. I'm reading the question, sir. in this era where right to privacy is discussed,
Hmm.
and we also have a Digital Data Protection Act 2023,
Yes, yes.
but we do not have laws for preparation, maintenance, destruction, and retrieval of data, especially in the field of health. Then how can we deal with liability in the legal area in the context of Jurimetrics?
So the privacy is very important, though it is not an express fundamental right, but still privacy is a human right, is a fundamental right. Privacy of a human being is very important, it is uppermost. Privacy. So privacy is to be balanced with this state, data and all. The state can collect the data, state can tape the telephonic conversation, state can do anything. In the public interest, state can do anything. But ultimately, privacy of a human being is very, very important. Privacy is uppermost, madam. Okay, madam. Privacy. It is not at the cost of privacy.
So the last question in the chat box, it's from Jyoti Abraham. How can we tackle the human rights violation in this contemporary law forensic interface?
So Bandhuva Mukta Morcha, in so many other cases also, human rights of the workers were being protected by the Supreme Court by encouraging empirical studies and all. In TIS case, Muzaffarpur in Bihar, when TIS conducted some empirical survey, that was very useful for the Supreme Court. That is for the protection of human rights of the women working in shelter homes. Similarly, in bonded laborers, their rights were also being protected by the Supreme Court through this empirical research. This Bandhuva Mukti Morcha is a classic case for this empirical studies. Only the Supreme Court advocates, lawyers conducted empirical research in Faridabad. Stone quarries submitted the report to the Supreme Court. Okay. Similarly, in this, I think you must be knowing Dr. Kailash Satyarthi, who is a Nobel laureate who shared Nobel Prize along with Malala of Afghanistan, Pakistan. So, Kailash Satyarthi, you must be knowing the important case, Bachapan Bachao Andolan. So, where so many children are working in circus companies. Their data was being collected by Kailash Satyarthi, and it was submitted in the form of an empirical report, sociological, statistical report before the Supreme Court. So many laborers, child workers, and they were using for sex. They were denied education. They were denied health. No, nothing. They were treated as animals in the circus companies. This data was submitted before the Supreme Court by Dr. Kailash Satyarthi. So therefore, now all those children were freed from circus companies. So many children, girls, they were sexually abused, exploited by the men in the circus company. So it was brought to the notice of the Supreme Court by empirical study only, by Jurimetrics studies only. Why? To protect the rights of the children. So he was Kailash Satyarthi was a famous child right activist. He was a Nobel laureate. Okay, madam. Very famous case. Bandhuva Mukti Morcha. Bachao Andolan. Very, very famous cases where the Supreme Court relied upon this empirical studies only, Jurimetrics only.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bandhuva Mukti Morcha. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. There are no more questions in the chat box. So, is there any other questions?
Ma'am, may I put one?
Yes, sure.
Sir, may I please?
Please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. First of all, it was indeed a very nice session. a very new thing to be known. So my only question is like, you are speaking about empirical research. So most of the times, obviously, the problem solving includes empirical research, but sometimes we have to collect, we have to take both types of like empirical and non-empirical. So is it fine for when it comes to the Jurimetrics?
Yes, yes, yes. See, if you are doing LLM dissertation and also PhD thesis, it
Yes,
is
sir.
partly doctrinal and partly empirical.
No,
See,
yeah.
the entire thesis is doctrinal, but one chapter will be empirical. Huh?
Okay, sir.
One
Okay,
chap-
sir.
You can devote one chapter for empirical. Huh?
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So